and welcome to Beyond the Scale, Weight Loss and Wellness. I'm your host, Coach Monica. I'm joined today by Coach Darcy, and we are here to guide you through the ins and outs of a lifestyle that's transformed not just our lives, but the lives of countless women navigating the waves of perimenopause and menopause. Whether you're here to shed weight, understand your body better, or simply find a community that gets it, you're in the right place. So sit back and enjoy the next few minutes as we tackle the hot issues of today. Good morning, everybody. It's Tuesday. Yay. We made it through Monday.
We did.
Mondays are tough for me. Wow. So did you have a good weekend?
I did.
Good.
We were at the ball field all weekend.
Yeah?
We had a game Thursday, Friday, 2 on Saturday.
And did we win?
Collins did. Silas didn't, but then yesterday he played again and his team won, and then Collins' team won as well. So we were at the ball field yesterday.
Oh, those were the days. I was a band mom. I was not a baseball mom. I was a band mom. So I do miss the sound of the band playing. Mm-hmm. I miss that, but I do not miss being out in the cold and freezing or scorching. There was no in between. It was either you were all in or you were yeah. I was a soccer mom. Mm-hmm. So, yeah. Well, it's good to see everybody today. Goodness.
How was your weekend?
Well,
aside from carnivore.
I was going to say,
we talked about that.
Carnivore is like stuck right here on the front of my head. It was a good weekend. I believe it was good. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Awesome. I literally can't remember what we did. My husband fishes, and so he was gone fishing. And so I always like those days because I get a whole bunch of stuff done. And nice. So did you share on your
I am sharing. That's why I'm looking awkwardly.
Yes. I know. I had the same issue. Thank you, Mark Zuckerberg, for allowing us the inconvenience of not being able to stream to our groups. By the way, if you want a free coaching group, you can check out Coach Darcy and my Facebook group. Good morning, Mike. Good morning, Mike. To see you. My group is called, what's my group called? It is called,
something about recovery.
Food addiction and recovery.
There you go.
And yours is called what, Coach?
The Weight Loss Project.
Weight Loss Project. So go find those over on Facebook. And that's why it's a little awkward for us at the beginning of these lives now, because we can't stream over there anymore. We have to actually physically put the video over there. So, yeah, it's a, you know, it is what it is. We'll beat the system, right?
Yeah.
So, hey, today we're going to talk about a subject that I believe with all of my little heart, I believe. Oh, by the way, if you live in Indiana, couple housekeeping notes. If you live in Indiana, today is the day to go vote. If you don't vote, you can't complain about the leaders you get. So Indiana, polls are open till 6 p.m. tonight, so you have no excuse. 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. Get to the polls and go make your voice heard, or shut up. That's my saying. I'm sorry. Sorry, not sorry.
Well, you're a little feisty today. Or feistier.
I don't have patience for people who don't vote. I really don't, because that is what, Grampy fought so hard for us to have that right to vote. And so it irritates me when people don't vote. Mm-hmm. So anywho, second housekeeping. If you find this kind of content, not the voting content, but if you find this kind of content on weight loss and wellness helpful, please go over to our pages and share it to your family and friends. They're going to need this one today, because there's really not a single person that I know of that gets a pass from today's subject,
right?
Because we have a pandemic in this epidemic. I would say an epidemic, because other countries seem to have this under control. The United States, however, seems to be addicted to stress, and so we don't get it.
Right.
So if you find this content helpful, would you please share this to your family and friends? And then also today is Tuesday, which is our podcast drop day.
Yeah.
So I just posted the links to our podcast, Beyond the Scale, Weight Loss and Wellness. I can't remember which one dropped today. Do you
I
remember?
was just about to ask you
I can't
because
remember. We've got so many good ones in
yeah,
the key. Sometimes I forget which one dropped today. So
I don't
head
remember.
over to there, and especially if you follow us on Apple, and I don't know if Spotify is the same way, but Apple has the reviews. If you can
Mhm.
leave us a review on there, it just helps the algorithm. So
Yeah,
all of this helps the algorithm. Like,
it does.
share,
All
subscribe.
that.
Yeah,
Without you, none of this would be possible.
none
And
of
we
this.
appreciate you
Yeah,
for
it would.
sharing and for liking and for subscribing
Yeah,
and
it,
following and
it would just
all those
be
things.
you and I talking to each other
But we
without our
do that.
audience.
It's true.
We do that a lot.
We do
And
that a
then
lot.
sometimes we go like a week without. I'm like, what's going
I
on?
feel like sometimes when we do that, like that you're mad at me or something.
I feel the same way. I feel like
Well, shoot, we're never mad at each,
I
at each
know.
other. It's
I
fine.
know. The thing of it is, with me, if I am mad at you, I'm on the phone with you like in 5 minutes.
Yeah.
So it's actually the
Well,
opposite.
so now I know that. I
If
know
I'm
the
calling you, then
secret. Like,
you better
you mad?
wonder, am I mad? No, sometimes
I'm scared. I'm
sometimes
never going to answer.
yeah. Sometimes I just want to talk to my sister because I've got people driving me crazy. So, all right. So today we are going to talk about what I believe. I don't know if you believe this, Darcy. I believe
We'll find out.
this is the number one way, the
Mm.
number one reason why people do not lose weight.
Yeah.
And it is something that, well, Mike, thank you. That is hilarious that we're doing this live when that podcast dropped. Too funny. What do you do when your
Oh.
world falls apart?
I don't remember what we talked
Except
about.
I cried on that one. That one was embarrassing for me because I cried. My dog had just
Oh,
died
yeah.
and I cried. So
That was
that's
the
an
one that
embarrassing
we
one.
probably
Maybe
should have recorded, but we
we
didn't.
probably should have redone it because you found the weak spot in Coach Monica.
Well,
'Cause
no, that my internet was really
Yeah.
shaky that day too.
Yeah.
And we were all flustered.
Yeah. I put on the air of you can't hurt me and I'm as tough as nails until my dog dies and then I
Right.
fall apart on a live podcast.
It happens. Hey, that's reality, and that's why we are real. We're real people
We are
that have
real.
real tears
Yeah,
and real emotions and real thoughts and feelings.
that's right. That's right. So today's podcast, you get to see the real.
Real.
You pulled me
real.
back together though. You pulled me back together. You saw I was panicking because the problem is when I start crying, there's no recovering. None. Like I'm done.
You know, that's one thing that I envy about certain people that are able to cry and
Mhm.
still talk like they're normal,
No.
like normal, and the tears are flowing from their eyes, and they're
I
just
know.
talking like
and all
this.
they have to
and-
do is like this.
yeah.
Not
Yeah.
me.
So,
I
like,
ugly cry.
When I sing, like I can't sing and cry at the same time because
Mm-mm.
something like shuts off.
Yeah.
Like
Snot
Yeah.
flies everywhere. Yeah.
we're a mess.
So I will do everything I will make my lip bleed before I cry. I mean, I've tasted blood before and like I'm not crying. You cannot make me cry
No.
because once I do, it's over. So
No, never pray that God sends you emotions then, because I did that because I never cried.
mm-hmm,
And I said, God, I just want to have emotions. I want to be able to cry.
mm-hmm.
And then he broke down like those walls, and I'm like, by golly, now I can cry. So don't pray for things that you really don't
No.
want, but
No.
you do. I really did want that. So.
Yeah. 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 So
Anyway.
the enemy of weight loss. There's a lot of things that cause weight loss stalls. Like throw some at me. You're eating too much.
Oh,
Right?
I was like, I caught me off guard. You're
Yeah.
asking me?
Yeah. Throw some at me. Let's just brainstorm. There's the enemies of weight loss. Eating too much.
Yes. Jump on the scale too much too. I think
You're
that
on the scale too
That's
much.
a very enemy kind
Yeah.
of thing.
You want too quick.
Too quick.
Mm-hmm.
Wrong ingredients.
Wrong ingredients.
Uh,
Under eating. Yeah.
Oh, that's my nemesis
Yeah.
right there.
I
Like,
hate.
I
I
do
hate under
that.
eating.
I hate it.
We had somebody in group this week say, I never believed the coaches when they said I'm not eating enough. And then I started eating more and I started finally losing.
By golly, that's
Yeah.
awesome.
But
I love it.
even as a coach, my heart, because my heart is still diet culture sometimes, you know, I tend to think,
Fruit.
is it
Yeah.
really true? Is it really true? Yeah. Yeah. Courtney says fruit.
Yeah. Yeah.
A lot of people think that fruit is innocent. Fruit is not innocent. You cannot eat unlimited fruit. It's the same insulin spike as a Snickers bar. Different nutrients,
Yes.
different fiber content,
Yes.
but it is the cause of weight gain for some people.
Mm-hmm.
There is no free foods. No free foods. Weight Watchers has it all wrong, which is why they signed up for the shot, because it wasn't
'Cause
working.
it wasn't working. And people are a little traumatized and scarred from the
They
point
are.
system.
They are.
I'm learning.
They are. And that attitude comes into our coaching program because of the
it does.
diet mentality, you know.
It really does.
When we tell them we need you to eat something, they're like, but the points. No, I don't give a rip about the points. What I
Nope.
care about is what you're eating. So, yeah, those are all things. So there's lots of enemies to weight loss. Totally agree with you, but there's the biggest one that I think it really plagues the American population the most, and that is cortisol, and that is stress.
Mm-hmm.
So we're going to kind of break down this, and then at the end, I'm going to give you cortisol therapy. And if you are a client of ours, this is what our subjects have been about this week, and I have you each doing a protocol for cortisol therapy. If you're one of our clients, you better be doing this. So if you haven't met with me or personal coach, Coach Darcy has a different program, different plans, but if you haven't met with me yet, I want you doing this, okay? This is your protocol. This is your automatic protocol, because we are going to spend the next several months working on bringing down your cortisol. So let's talk about what cortisol is first, okay? Because a lot of people are like, what is cortisol? Cortisol is amazing. God knew what he was doing when he created this hormone, because cortisol is a hormone that comes in when your body perceives stress, okay? When your body says, oh my gosh, there's a tiger chasing me, I have got to run for my life, cortisol kicks in. I don't know if you've seen some of those videos, Darcy, of like people overturning cars when someone is under it, or like you can get almost supernatural power when this cortisol rages.
We think about mama bear syndrome.
Ooh.
Like when somebody messes with our kids, you don't want to get in the way of a mother.
Yeah.
Period.
Oh no. You stay away from if someone's hurting my baby. Yeah, and I don't care if they're 2 weeks, or I don't care if they're 27 years old.
Yeah.
If you mess with my kids, you're going to see a beautiful picture of what cortisol looks like, right?
Yeah. You know, I can remember a time, and this is not about mama bearism, but my kids during COVID, we went on a race. Like the first time they could actually run. And, you know, I usually, when I run, I'm a short person, so my legs are like doing these short strides. And all of a sudden, I was ahead of everybody else, and then I hear Mark coming, sprinting, and something inside of me, which
no way,
kind of been like the click of the cortisol, just clicked on, and I started striding and running faster, and it was an amazing feeling of just a sprint that I'm like, I don't think I've ever run that fast.
Yeah.
Since I was in high school.
Yeah. You can totally feel when cortisol comes on. Even if you're an addict, because we're going to talk about cortisol addicts here. And even if you're an addict, you know when it's coming. Like when you feel like when you're too young for the pop bottle phenomenon, because there were cans when you were born. But when I was born, you could go to the store and along the grocery line, there was these pop bottles, right? And if you shook the pop bottle, I think the same thing happens with cans. You shook that bottle, it just like went whoosh, you know. That's kind of like what cortisol feels like when you're feeling that pressure. You're feeling like, I gotta move. I gotta do something. This is not a good state for me to be in. So before we talk about the treatment and before we talk about the plan and the cortisol therapy, I want to talk about what cortisol is, right? Because we have to identify it. We have to know what it is before we can talk about how to fix it. Because sister or Mike, whoever's listening on the other side of the XY chromosome, when you experience cortisol, a lot of times people think it's okay. this will stop your weight loss. This very hormone will stop your weight loss. And it's done so intentionally. The creator of the universe created cortisol. It is a good hormone. It is meant for a specific purpose. What it's not meant for is to hang around in your body. And that's what we are causing it to do. We are causing this, what's supposed to be a short burst to get you out of trouble. We're allowing that to sit in our bodies all day long.
Yeah.
You know, in the presence of insulin, you cannot lose weight. So this all boils down to insulin and sugar. Okay? Insulin, carbs, sugar. It all boils down to that. But let's talk about the different kinds. Okay? The different kinds of cortisol. So we've got what's called the acute. Okay? The acute cortisol. And this is for a lot of us. It's during a stressful season. Darcy, have you ever experienced this? Like
Never.
Just a little bit of a season. Tell us about one of your like acute cortisol spikes.
Goodness,
I can tell you one. You just talked about it because I'm going to shamelessly plug you because you just talked about it. I remember when you went to sing with Bill Gaither, and you're all starstruck over who the person you were supposed to. I have no idea who he is, but I know who Bill Gaither is.
Chris Blue is.
No idea who he is.
It's about him, not anybody else.
But Bill Gaither was there. That's all I care about, right? So I am sure that morning, once you realized you had no idea what you're walking into, it's cracked me up the whole time. You're like, I got to go sing. And then you get there and you're like, So I'm sure that you experienced some
There was
cortisol.
some stress. There was some acute cortisol there. A little bit.
A little bit. It's like, whew.
I know one that gets me is like little things throughout the week also. Little things throughout the week that I don't like to volunteer for 100 million things, and I don't like when things overlap or are very close of overlapping. And I look at my whole week and I start to be like, I have so much to do. And then really I'm not thinking about, that's Wednesday. I don't have to worry about that Wednesday because it's Wednesday. But in my head, because it's all there, my whole week is all in one day. That's how it feels.
Yes.
So that's when I start to panic a little bit.
Yeah,
I'm sure.
Baseball season for you. Like Coach and I are getting certified in another. We're bringing on another certification so that we can wholly and holistically help women throughout their menopause, throughout their cycles. We're going to be teaching them how to work the food around that. So we're getting this massive certification, and it's no big deal to me. It's part of life. But baseball season is enacted right now. And when I presented this to Coach, I could sense the panic because you are in a very stressful season right now of baseball. And I have to do all of these things. But the key to this is you are there's a bookend to it. There's a beginning and there's an end of that. So that's what you call acute. It's
real cute.
Cortisol. It's really cute.
Really cute. We all find it very cute.
Right. The second one is chronic. So this one is where I believe, because acute, you can lose weight with acute stress. Now you may go through a season and you may have to back off that scale a little bit because that scale may stop and slow down, right? So you may have to step away from that and you just may have to expand what your thought is of how much you're losing. Because again, cortisol is sugar. Cortisol is like licking a lollipop all day long. In the presence of insulin, you cannot lose weight. So there's some science behind that. However, many of our clients remain, and they choose. This is a choice, right? They choose to remain in chronic stress. They choose to remain in this constant state of, I have to do something. I have to say yes to everything. And they live under this always stressed kind of mentality. This is where weight loss stops. Weight loss stops completely. And then they get frustrated, which causes more stress because they're not losing weight, right? Have you ever had clients in this kind of area?
Yes.
A lot. It's more often than not.
It's in conversation with having, in our one-on-one conversations. Yes, like there are most of them have like, I ask them like, you have any new stress or anything like that? And they're like, well, aside from the normal stress, no, like they usually say no, but knowing that life in general can be stressful.
Then it
And
comes
so that
out,
is just
right.
that chronic stress. You
Yeah.
have those things.
Right.
Yeah.
And there's something about, and I don't know, this would be interesting to find out. And I've not done any research, but I have my gut feeling.
I feel like you're gonna.
The difference between men and women.
Oh,
I kind of think, and I could be completely wrong, but I kind of think that men are able to let go a little bit quicker.
I feel like
And I
they
know
can
that there's exceptions.
compartmentalize.
Yeah. They leave things
better.
at work. They can tend to
They
leave things
can.
at work.
But
Women don't let it go.
No.
We don't let it go. We go from the office.
we just throw it all in one box.
We throw it in the
Yeah.
box and then we bring it home.
And then we bring it home.
And then we put all of the mess
In our
from
purse.
our family in.
That's why we carry those giant purses.
Exactly. We
Because
don't
it
leave it at
all
home.
like goes with
Mhm.
us everywhere we go.
Yeah. So again, cortisol is that hormone that spikes your glucose. Glucose spikes your insulin. In the presence of insulin, you don't lose weight.
No.
So when you carry this around all the time, you're licking a lollipop all day. You're
Yeah.
sitting there eating a piece of cake all day long. You're preventing your weight loss. The third one is a little bit more difficult to talk about. And this one requires therapy. Honestly, it does. You can't get over this if you have something like stored trauma. Stored trauma is based on an event. Okay. So a lot of people say maybe who have been hurt in the past, maybe there's a divorce, maybe there is some childhood trauma, maybe there's things that they have not dealt with. That also is it's in your very core, and that is like living under a constant state of cortisol. Sometimes that's released more and more when you've got some depression coming in or when you've got some triggers coming in, and this requires therapy. And I wholeheartedly support, if you have had stored trauma, you've got to get it out. One of the most coolest things, and this story is going to connect to my second point of our therapy, and maybe I'll talk about it again. But one of the issues, I dealt with some PTSD after an election one year, and just the bottom fell out of my life. One of my heroes just like completely did a U-turn. I remember the day. This was the PTSD. I remember the day that this person called me and said, "I need my passwords." No explanation, nothing. And it was a moment of time that my brain froze at that moment. And so I ended up going, my pastor recommended therapy, best thing I ever did. One of the treatments that she did with me, and she explained it this way, our brains are meant to fire, the neurons are meant to fire horizontally, right? That makes you think clearly. That makes you be able to process one thing at a time. Horizontal is a beautiful picture, right? What happens when you have PTSD or if you're overstimulated or overstressed, your brain fires like spaghetti and you can't think. You can't focus. And so she did a treatment, and I should have looked this up before our session today. It's called something specific. If you know what I'm talking about, drop it in the comments. But I held these two things, and I'm not into
the paddles, like the electronic paddle things, right?
I'm not into yoga. I'm not into the Eastern stuff. I'm not into the hooky poopy pooky stuff, This was like, so I'm like, what are you doing? You're putting this in my hands. Like hypnotism. I'm not in. No, I run from that. She put it in my hands. There's a paddle here in my hands, and she would buzz them. It wasn't shock therapy. It was buzzing. If you know what this is, please drop it. I'm sure there's someone of our listeners that knows what it is. But it buzzes each side, and she would ask me a question. How did your dad treat you when you were young? Crazy, wild things. And she would want to know our first response to, what were you thinking? It had nothing to do with why I was hurt in the first place. She just asked random questions, and she would buzz it, and then she'd buzz it. When she was done, I could think so clearly. I was able to start processing the trauma that had happened to me. It was beautiful. We're going to get to that in step 2 of our therapy.
Something electronic therapy, right?
Yeah.
Something like
some of our listeners know what that therapy is, that treatment is, but it was beautiful. So if you are a part of the stored trauma, the stored cortisol, you've got to get some help with that. And you've got to know that you're not broken, right? You just have to learn to process it and get it out of your body. Mm-hmm. Okay. So all of these things, have you ever like, in this one, I'll take this back from you if you don't know the answer to that, because I'm just throwing a random question.
Yeah.
But what point when you deal with a client, you're really nervous.
I am nervous.
I'll take it back. I'll take it back.
Fine.
Because I'm not.
Ask me.
I'm not
Ask me.
expecting you to know the
Have
answer to this.
ever dealt with a client that
When? No, that's not the question. When you're working with clients,
Yes.
when do you say, okay, it's time for therapy? Like, are there signs in your clients that you're like, okay, this is beyond me. Okay, I'm going to still be your nutrition coach. I'm going to still walk you through this. I'm going to work with the therapist, but it's time for you to maybe go see someone. Do you?
Yeah, actually, yes, I can answer this one.
I know you could.
I know. There's certain signs, like repeat, when they're not willing to do the exercises that I suggest. Such as much as people don't like the journaling does help. But if they're avoiding that, they're avoiding, doing anything that I suggest to them to help them from like a stall or, weight loss or anything of that sort. Sometimes I hear certain stories that they share from their past that I'm like, okay, so that is the stored stuff. And it starts to surface in conversation when I'm listening.
Yes.
Those types of things start to surface, and it's not right away. It's when I get to be with them for, 3 months to, 6 months to, a year.
Yeah.
Then those things start to uncover, and a lot of the things make sense to me that, oh, well, you've kind of pinpointed on this topic before. I listened and I heard it, but it didn't really have a red flag for me.
Yeah.
And then it starts to repeat, and it's starting to affect their weight loss, and it's starting to get them into this a continual cycle. Where they start something, they're hardcore, they're really, really going to do it, and then something happens, and it prevents them from moving forward.
Yeah.
So when it prevents them from moving forward, that's when I'm like, I can't help you.
When I first started my practice, was it 6 years ago? I had a situation where I could not get a client to eat. I couldn't get him to. I would recommend something like Keto Chow, or because he couldn't get his protein in, and I couldn't get him to eat the Keto Chow. I couldn't get him to eat any of the soft foods, and I noticed that there was a pattern of what he was eating, and it was frustrating him because he couldn't get his protein. He physically couldn't get his protein in, and I'm like, eat this, and he would try, and he wouldn't do it. It wouldn't be in his macros, and I'd be like, excuse me, I'd be like, dude, what's the problem? Come to find out, in the past, he was dealing with some massive parental abuse that had to do with food and had to do with soft foods. And it was traumatic. When I heard this, and I was new, I didn't have my life coaching experience. I didn't know that only 10% of what we do as coaches is calories and food.
Yeah. Right.
That it's not counseling. We don't counsel.
No.
But I didn't know that. And I, as a coach, I'm like, oh, dear Jesus, you've got to help me through this. It was the most. Have you ever read the book, A Boy Called It?
Yes.
It was that caliber. And he wasn't losing weight. Yeah, he wasn't losing weight. And I'm like, and he was like, just tell me what to eat. And so I realized at that point, whoa, I can do nothing until he's willing to go fix that. It was beyond me. And so I referred him to a therapist. He came back to me, and he knew how to deal with that. I adjusted the food plan, didn't put those in. So a lot of times the stored trauma, and that's probably a little, I think the majority of our clients land in the middle.
Yeah.
I really do. Because everybody has acute stress. Everybody has that, right?
Yeah.
The majority of our clients land in the middle. So we have what is called, we have to stop the consistent cortisol spikes. I don't care if you have little ones throughout the day. That's the way we were created. That's what God wanted us to do. The problem is we don't have tigers chasing us all day. We don't have that anymore.
Unless you consider your child a tiger, then I think you might,
You probably have two of them. You probably have two of them all day.
I noticed my stress levels go up a little bit lately.
In the summertime?
Baseball. No, since baseball.
Well, we all have that. Darcy, you can benefit.
I'm managing well.
For the cortisol
but
therapy.
I'll listen.
I'm fine. I'm fine.
Everything's fine.
As you're drowning. Yeah.
We're managing really well though.
Lean into the therapy. Lean into it, Darcy. I'm your therapist today.
Okay.
Oh, that's too funny. So how do we deal with it? Because you're not losing weight, folks. When you're stressed, you're not losing weight. You may lose for a little bit because calorie deficit is a calorie deficit, right? If you're starving yourself, you may lose. And a lot of people are like, they don't realize that when they're not losing weight, probably a lot of them are only eating 400 to 500 calories. And they're like, I'm not eating anything and I'm not losing. This is why, because your body is way up here in the glucose. The glucose is spiking your insulin. Guess where? I'm going to throw this one at you, and it's totally fine if you don't get it. Totally fine. This is a preview to what you're going to soon be learning when you open up the books. But where does cortisol, where is that stored? Do you know that?
In your brain.
No.
Hold on. Wait a minute.
You know this. Come on. You know this.
It's in your liver. No, your
gut.
Cortisol. That's my next one.
In your river? What did you say?
Listen, though, if your brain and your gut are both your brains,
so
then they're connected. Right. So there.
You're right. But the actual fat cells, the actual cortisol goes right to your gut.
Yes.
So the people with the big guts have, number one, insulin resistance.
Yes.
Number two, they are very high stressed people. They're very stressed. So if you want to lose your belly fat, do the things that we're going to talk about today. Right?
Yeah.
So I'm going to ask you your opinion on each one of these because I want you to participate. Even though I'm teaching this, I want you to participate. So think about as I'm talking about your input because I'm going to ask you.
All right.
Okay.
Well, I'm there.
So we're going to do some cortisol therapy, and I'd like you to practice this for the next week. All right? For the next week. What happens when you got to run from the tiger? So let's go back and let's think about how God created us. God created us to run from tigers because if we don't run from tigers, we're going to be killed. We are going to be eaten, right? So God created us when we have that initial cortisol pump that says, move, get the heck out of Dodge right now. That's what cortisol says. What we don't do usually is we don't run. So the first thing is you got to be aware. You have got to be aware that, oh dear, this is cortisol. If we know that cortisol is meant to make us move, then move. Really simple. You can do this several ways. If you can get outside, run around the block, walk around the block. I don't care. That's the preference. If for movement, that's the preference. If you can walk away from the situation, you feel it building up, get out and walk around the block. Walk around 2 blocks, right? Start to move. Do what that cortisol says. Here's why this works. When you move, when you're running away from that tiger, the cortisol leaves your body. You use it. So use the cortisol like gas. Run. If you can't do anything, I love those. One of our clients has a rebounder, one of those little trampolines.
Oh.
I said, and she's a tax accountant, and I'm like, I know you can't get out and run. I know you can't sometimes get out. Get on that rebounder for a minute. Yeah. Bounce the heck out of it, right? Yeah. Get the cortisol out of your body by moving. If you can't get out, do air squats. What are some other things that they could do to get that cortisol out of their system?
Well, I like to
jumping jacks.
Well, yeah. Anything move. You said all the movement things. Well, so I'm like trying to think of other movement things.
Yeah.
I mean,
I can't do jumping jacks because my bladder.
Doing bands is great. Like if you have bands, the rubber bands, like doing that, doing some, working those muscles to kind of build that. Like probably.
Yes. Yeah, definitely.
Sometimes writing things out is really beneficial because it's getting it out of your head. And it's at,
so there's a mental side of movement.
There's a mental side of movement. I mean, I love the part of walking away. For me, I have, like when my kids are, when I'm about to just be done and I know, and I have a history of like blowing up because there's a feeling that, I don't know if anybody else can relate to this, but there's a feeling that when that bubbling starts to happen and you try to be calm and then there's still feedback from your children, like it just seems like everything's like starting to crush you and like your ears start to like be I don't know, numb and like, I don't know, as if somebody's covering your ears. When that starts to happen, that's where the walking away and then breathing is doing box breathing.
Yeah.
We talked about, it was another way that one of our clients called it key breathing. Key breathing,
yeah.
things like that
Yeah.
would come in handy, and then you revisit the situation.
Right.
But
I want you to move first. I want
Yes.
you to power move first. It's got to be a physical exertion of that energy to send that cortisol out of your body. And I love that you had talked about journaling. It gave me a picture of like a period on the end of that work. So you have pounded it out, then you come home, you put a period on the end of that and say, this is what happened, and process it out.
Yeah.
That's beautiful.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
That's why I like the voice to voice texting, messaging, journaling thing that your phone may have. I know Apple has it.
You can do that while you're running.
You just do notes and you speak it out as if you're talking to somebody. If there's nobody in there, you talk it out, how you feel, what's going on in your head. Don't even worry about when you say period or comma, or don't worry about the grammar. Just speak it out. You can record your voice, and then you can either listen back to it, but sometimes it's enough to just get it out that you don't even have to read it. You can just delete it because you feel better.
I wouldn't want my kids knowing half the things that I'm talking about, so I'm hitting delete on mine. My journals are not going to be read by my children at all. No. Yeah. So move. That's the first thing. Get the cortisol out of your body.
Hey,
go ahead.
One other thing I want to say, a myth, like a myth that they say when you're with a bear to like play dead. That's not the thing to do.
Don't do it.
You're supposed to fight back. Like So sometimes when you think that you're supposed to just play dead from something, you're really not supposed to.
No, you're supposed to move.
You're supposed to move.
The first one is awareness. We need you to be aware that you have the cortisol, and then we need you to move. Okay. The second thing is, and this is gonna sound funny for a lot of people, but this is the truth. So when you are moving, not only, let's say you're being chased by a tiger. Okay. So you're moving. Your body's natural instinct is to scan from left to right because you need to find a way out. So when you're running away from that tiger, you don't even know you're doing this, right? If you are running from a tiger, you're scanning the horizon, scan from left to right. This is giving you a place to find an escape. So you're looking, where is that tiger not going? I'm looking for that escape, right? It's just an automatic thing. And something happens in your brain when you do this, when you scan the horizon with your eyes. Your amygdala, all of that stuff is forced to awaken the amygdala side of the brain, and where it is searching for a threat. That's the part of your brain that is searching for a threat. So you have activated that part of your brain to where you are looking for an escape. Right? And this one was brand new to me. I knew about the running from the tiger, but I didn't know about the amygdala. And I'm not great in when it comes to studying the brain, there's so many things. My gosh, I just get overwhelmed. But this one made sense to me. Look for a way out. Scan the horizon. So as you have gone out, and you're starting to walk around the block, just practice, just without even thinking about scan the horizon. Scan the horizon. That activates the amygdala part of your brain that is looking for the threat. By doing those things, you have calmed down, right? And this all can be done within the matter of 5 minutes. So people who say, "Oh, I gave myself a thumbs up right there," I don't know how that does that.
I don't have it turned on.
I don't know. Is there something turned on, or?
I don't know. Yeah, there's got to be.
I don't know. Well, that's the second one. So as you're walking, I just want you scanning the horizon, right? Just scan the horizon. And the third one is you've got to activate the serotonin trigger. Okay, the serotonin is your calming hormone. You've got to bring that in. And you do that through the eyes. So in the same exercise, when you have stepped outside and you're starting to walk, you're scanning the horizon, do not put sunglasses on. I want that vitamin D sun to go from the sun to your eyes, okay? Sunlight, vitamin D brings on the serotonin, right? And the oxytocin. It brings on those feel good. It slows everything down, and it causes you to be calm, okay?
Yeah. Can I pinpoint something that I know factual about the serotonin and oxytocin? Those hormones are created when you sleep. So this is like the importance of sleep and a good quality of sleep is really important when you are in that RM and that REM, not RM,
Mhm.
REM, deep sleep, all those things. That's when it's created. If you have disruption in your sleep, if you're
Mhm.
constantly getting up, you are spiking those
Yes.
hormones, and which spikes your glucose.
Mhm.
And this is very true. So if you wake up and you have high glucose levels, and you like this is
Yeah.
not food related, or you're questioning your food,
Mhm.
and what did I eat yesterday?
Yeah.
That doesn't necessarily mean that you ate poorly that day. It
Mhm.
could have just been like, ask yourself, how did you sleep?
Yeah.
How well did I sleep last night?
Yeah.
I felt like I was waking up all the time, or I got to bed late, or I was watching TV and I fell asleep. Things that are just terrible for sleep quality.
Mhm.
When you do those things, that serotonin and
Mhm.
oxytocin that you need for that day, that calm,
Mhm.
is not going to be adequate. It's not going to be
Right.
great.
Right. So through all this, what I'm hearing you say is
Yeah.
do a nightcap.
Yeah.
So there's really
Wait,
this
what
stuff
kind of
for a
nightcap?
nightcap. Yeah.
That nightcap's called something else.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, just you need to just make sure that at the end of the day that you're going to bed, because sleep is probably one of the biggest parts of weight loss. And it's so
She did
frustrating.
not just tell you to have a
I did
whiskey
not
before
tell you to
bed.
have
That
whiskey.
is what a
No.
nightcap is.
No, I did, or NyQuil or any of the such,
No,
right?
no.
No. Thank you for the
I just
definition.
wanted to
Yeah.
share that
You youngins, I tell you.
out there.
Oh, but yeah, working on your sleep is so important because the hormone hierarchy, I'm studying that right now and I'm just so fascinated by
Yeah,
it. The hormone hierarchy, oxytocin is at the top of
yeah.
that list.
That's your knight in
Of
shining armor.
Yeah, over
Yeah.
the insulin, over the testosterone, over the sex hormones, all of it, oxytocin. And if you're not getting that, you're going to stall the scale. So when they say, I'm having trouble losing weight, I'm doing all of the things, I'm not eating, you're talking hormone stuff, and that is possible to start to stall yourself. Most people want to lose weight, but they're not willing to give up the stress.
Mhm.
I challenge you every day at noon, go for a 20-minute walk. Do the entire process. Do the entire process that we talked about, the 3 steps. When you're going on a walk, scan the horizon, look to the left, to the right with your eyes, and don't wear sunglasses. 20 minutes at noon every day. Try to get that cortisol down.
What if I'm on a live or on a group call?
Well, then it's going to have to be 12:05.
Okay.
Yeah, once a day. Once a day,
12:05.
get out there. And this is the perfect time because it's summertime. In the wintertime,
Yeah.
this is why we deal with depression. This is why we deal with these things, because we
Lots
don't
of
have
sun.
that exercise.
Yeah.
So we want to encourage you, because if you're not willing to give this up, we can't help you as coaches.
Right.
We really can't. You tie our hands. You can eat perfectly. You can eat the right amount of calories. You can be in a calorie deficit. You still not lose weight because you're not willing to let go of the stress. What's happening behind you?
Clark.
Is it time?
I
Is it time
think
to close
he
the
heard
show?
he heard me say something that sounded like the word bye, but I didn't say that. You'll
Yeah.
see him shortly.
Yeah. Oh, that's
Or
hilarious.
he hears the FedEx guy. I don't know. I'm getting a new book today.
Okay. Yep. It's probably the FedEx guy.
Right.
And I have had to isolate mine lately because he is. Last live we did, I came outside and my basket, there was pieces of my basket up. So he had to go to his cage until he grows up enough to be able to
Not have his chompers.
handle my lives.
Yeah.
Eventually, he'll be behind us.
Yeah. I wanted to add, with your practicing getting up and going, what about practicing the word no weekly?
Yeah.
That's a complete, that you can't emphasize that enough.
No.
Because you just because a slot opens up and something it gets canceled doesn't mean you have to add something into that slot because it was emptied.
Yeah.
That's
Is
not
the world going to fall apart if you say no? No. Not even if you don't have to bring snacks to your kid's kindergarten class. The world is not going to fall apart because another mom will step up and do it, right? Not to say not to volunteer and don't do that, right? But we feel like we have to fix the world, and we don't. If your health is important to you, tackle the cortisol spikes. Tackle them. Get it to where you have acute stress. If you have acute stress where you've got a season, and some of my tax accountants, for some reason I have a lot of tax accountants.
Yeah.
And getting them through April was pretty tough. But what I'm finding is that what I ask them to do is, after tax season, don't schedule anything. I know that there's other deadlines happening, but give yourself a month to recuperate and to recover and to heal.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I'm finding that's happening because my accountants are now doing their sessions with me outside. It's the most beautiful thing. I'm like, I don't see you in your office. I love it. It's beautiful, right? It's so beautiful. And I've even had to say to myself between clients, I usually like to catch up on my notes for clients. I like to do catch up in between clients. I'm not doing that anymore. I'm going out to the deck and I'm putting my face in the sun. I'm not putting sunglasses on and I'm sitting there for
Not
5
today.
minutes.
Not
Right.
today.
Not today because I'll get all wet because it's stormy. Is it storming where you are?
It's not yet, but it will.
Yeah, it is here. So any questions? Any questions we'd be happy to answer. Again, you're not going to lose weight if you're stressed, y'all.
Nope.
So just relax. Get over it. Relax and do these 3 things that we talked about. There was a 4th one. Sleep.
Sleep.
I'm gonna
I
add
added
that.
one. Sorry.
Yeah, there's a 4th one. Work on your sleep.
Yes. I just know, I know personally through, not just 1 or 2, but like some of the clients that, get an inadequate amount of sleep.
Mm-hmm.
And they,
And I'm going to add a 5th one because
Okay.
every teaching opportunity is best with 5 points. So
Is
say
it?
no.
Or 7. Because 7's perfection.
That's true.
You gotta
Sometimes they
think
go to sleep
about-
at 6 though.
Oh.
So
Well, we got to add
and the 5th
the,
one, say no.
oh.
Yeah.
That one.
Say no.
Just say no. Dare taught us that. Just say no.
Just say no. Exactly.
Dare's a little different nowadays, but you can still say just say no.
That's right.
Just say no. It's
Any
a sentence.
final closing thoughts for today?
Are you asking me?
Yeah.
Oh.
Our audience is very
our
quiet. We have a
audience,
lot of people watching us right now, but they're
no, ask
very
us a
quiet.
question.
Very quiet.
I'd like to know what you do. Tell us what you do that works for you to help with the stress in life.
Yeah.
And because I like to tell, when we get our clients, they like to fight against the
Mhm.
grain of chaos.
They do.
And when you cut something against the grain of chaos, it's rigid. It's not cutting well.
Yeah.
So go be able to manage with the grain of chaos
Mhm.
because chaos is never going to go away.
Never.
And I emphasize that. And I will say that strongly because I know some people don't like when I say that.
No, they do.
But stress does not go away.
Well, people hold on to stress like a badge of honor. It's like
Yeah.
they're worth more if they're holding on to the stress. It's like their identity is formed under stress, and when you tell them to let it go, they're like, "But they won't like me." But I get so many buts when I say, "Why are we holding on to the stress?"
Yeah.
Sancy said, "Music, absolutely. I love
love it.
particularly worship music. It just takes me out and love it."
For me, I listen to non music, like no words type of music.
Yeah.
Just sometimes they're called, like at church we call them pads, like just a constant sound of
or white noise or something.
white note. Yeah, but it's like
music.
Yeah. Because then I'd be singing to the music versus like clearing my mind.
You would do that. Totally.
I can't shut it off.
Yeah. Well, hey guys, we are here every Tuesday morning at 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. If you are in the rat race and you're tired of not losing weight, if you are tired of can I just first of all talk about our carnivore group?
Oh my
They're doing amazing. They are losing weight like left and right. They are healing their bodies. The biggest thing that I am finding is they're like, "Oh my gosh, I don't have any pain."
Yeah.
I saw one and posted in group this morning that her skin had cleared up, and it's been 7 days.
What?
Incredible.
What the what?
I know. It's incredible. Congratulations,
Yeah, I'm
you
hoping
guys.
for that.
You're doing the hard things, and we're so proud of you. I've personally lost the most that I've ever lost. I think I hit 5 pounds yesterday, which
in
is
a week,
and I feel good.
and
I feel
here's
really good.
here's the thing, it's not necessarily even the water weight because you've been
it's
we've
stayed
been
off.
working on this. It is staying off. It's not, now it's raining. But yeah, it's not even like, so fasting you can lose weight, I think, but it seems to come back. I've done the 72-hour fast.
Yeah.
I followed that protocol, but this is different where you're actually hitting those calories. You're feeding your body nutrients that it needs. I like both of them, but I like fasting but I love carnivore because of the way I feel. Like there's this new feeling of what is it? Energy.
Yeah, totally. Totally. I'm loving it. We're going to do it again, so don't worry.
Yeah.
We're going to do it again. If you're frustrated and you need help now, reach out to Coach Darcy or myself. We're here for you. A lot of people ask what program they need. I always say do the 3-month signature program.
Yeah.
Give yourself 3 months and then see what happens. And so we'd be happy to talk you through it. Make sure you set up an interview with us first so that we can put you in the right program, because we have several different ones and we don't want you in the wrong one. So, all right. Well, I hope you make it through the storm. There's some warnings out. Make sure you go vote, sister. Have you already voted? Have you already
No. Mark early voted without me, and then I was like, I'm not going to go out and do that now, but I'll do it today.
Yes. 2:30 is when I'm doing it. And I have a first-time voter today. That's like
Aww.
next to baptism and next to baby dedication. I've taken all 4 of my kids to their first time of voting. It is so much fun. So we're going to go get ourselves a sticker and a selfie.
Yay.
And she's pretty excited.
They hand out stickers that you're doing?
Yeah. Says I voted. Mm-hmm. Yep.
Hopefully.
So look for my selfie when I post it on Facebook today. Go vote, guys. We think it's important. So I don't care how you vote. Vote. Just go.
Vote.
Just go give your opinion. Then when you vote, you can just rip them apart. You can go at them.
Yes.
Not if you don't vote, though. You lost that privilege.
Right.
All right, guys. We are here every Tuesday morning. We love you so much. And thank you so much for joining us. And we will see you next Tuesday.
Yep. Doodles.
Bye. Monica here. Guess what? If you're fed up with feeling stuck in your battle with weight or food, I've got something just for you. Check out our free Facebook groups. Over at Food Addiction and Recovery, I'm over there waiting for you. We're going to walk this journey together. It's about getting real, sharing our stories, and lifting each other up. We're in this together every step of the way. And if you're curious about changing your life with keto, the Weight Loss Project is where you want to be. Coach Darcy is amazing. And together, we're not just talking about losing weight. We're talking about finding a happier, healthier you. So, what do you say? Are you ready to join us? The links are in the show notes below. And I'm telling you, this is more than an invite. It is the start of something great. We cannot wait